The YWCA does a real nice job with a lot of different community organizations. And I guess we have the HRC, and I view them both working with the village staff and the community, more of the community. But I think it's the board's responsibility to focus on our staff and our committees and moving that forward and making sure that is moving forward. So I would support this initiative.
Trustee Menta?
I just want to be sure that, I know our police department goes through training every year, and I believe they go through training on these types of issues. I'm sure our customer service department has regular training, and I would assume some of that training involves dealing with people of a diverse population, because it's the diversity, everybody walks into Village Hall. So I just want to be sure that we're not duplicating training that's already happening, because I don't want to spend staff time on that, and I don't want to spend money on that. So before I would support this, I sort of, and HRC does mention a number of different educational, I know their education committee is very active, but they seem to be more focused on people in, the residents in general, Shorewood in general, which, we could also have certainly committee members take advantage of that. So I kind of feel like I need a little more information.
And can I just ask, the HRC did submit their priorities, correct? And was this one of them?
It was not, because I said that I was submitting it.
Oh, okay.
And they really said that while they've all expressed a desire and passion to be in this leadership role, they don't feel like they're experts. And so they really would appreciate some and it'll build the cohesion of the group as well.
Trustee Carpenter?
I just had a couple of questions. I'm just, in the initiative, it was just estimated costs. I'm just in my mind trying to understand, what is that ballpark cost, or is that totally unknown still? I don't know if anybody's it sounds like you're familiar with the program. I don't know if you know of the...
Not the exact cost. It's not inexpensive, but it's
Sure.
a commitment to
What is
No, we
what's
don't
the
have to do
budget?
it
They
that
have
way.
5,000, I think, for training on resources a year,
Do you put it on
and
that?
that's 20-something people, 25 people?
We have nothing budgeted for that on an annual basis.
Well, they had it last year in the budget. I just don't remember. I thought it was
Are you
$5,000.
referring to the training that the police department did? I
Yeah.
think you had 20,000 in there for, it was 15 to 20,000.
That was for the officers' time. The training was free,
Okay, so if officers tend to come in on off days,
correct?
which again kind of goes back to that component of, if we do provide for training, whether there's the cost of the training, there's the cost of the training and then the cost to also provide the training.
Right.
I think it would help, and maybe for budget, we need an actual proposal, of what it is, for who, how much time, and I agree with Trustee Maher that we should be focusing on staff. I think the committees and commissions, maybe because HRC is taking a pretty active role in more public education, maybe we should just encourage committees and commissions and start with training for staff. But like I said, I don't want it to be duplicative,
And just to chime in a little bit here, I support this initiative. I think it fits with community values. I think it's an opportunity for the village to take the lead, given some of the events that have transpired in the village. But I am sensitive to some of the concerns raised that we don't want to duplicate efforts with other things going on. And I think we need a more solid understanding of the cost. But in general, obviously, I'm very supportive of this type of training.
And I would request when you come back, Trustee McKay or whoever is taking the lead, maybe staff, make sure the committee understands, like Trustee Menta just mentioned, if we can't take on everything. So if education is one of the subcommittees, education, as we all just noted, could be staff, could be committee members, could be the residents. And so if they feel, I would like to just know priorities for them. And I think they're going to say yes, but I don't want to speak for them. Do they feel we should spend 2020 educating internally, like themselves, our board members? board, staff, and then go out to the community, but I would hate to say yes to this because it's a board initiative, and then have the HRC say, and now we want to do an educational campaign for the residents. I want to do both, but I want the timing to be coordinated so that we're not doing both in 2020. So we just need to space it out as we do all of it costs. And so I'm supportive of it. I just want to know that people understand education can start internally, and that's perfectly fine if the board wants to do that, but that if we then say no to some other educational requests, it's not because we don't want to do them for the residents, it's just, it needs to be staged.
Trustee Carpenter?
And then I just have one other question. So who are we, really focusing to attend the training? Like, are we thinking the village board, staff, and police, or has that not been hashed?
Well,
That's what I'm asking.
yeah, it depends on the scope. When we've talked about, you know, because we basically started talking about it and we thought, you know, yes, ideally the whole organization, you know, would engage in this, but the logistics of actually doing that in the first year is just really unmanageable. So then Trustee Warren and I were talking, and you know what a lot of places do, the approach is kind of an allied training where it's sort of like, and it's voluntary, and we kind of look at what would be manageable for our staff, the size of our organization. You know, we have small departments, so if a department head is gone, what does that look like? And then we could determine a scope that we think is, that we could actually initiate, and then we could get a quote on how that. So the YWCA can take their class and they can do lots of different things with it. I also just happen to have a lunch with a national group of 4-H executives, and they're doing social justice they have some materials that they give out to their youth development workers. And that, it's an incredible resource, and so it's like maybe that's something that we look at, just as a starting place. So again, the HRC asked for training, you know, we've been talking about it as a community, the school's doing it, so to get some type of, maybe it's just a very small step that we do next year, and we just look at it as a year by year commitment.
Yeah, you could scale up, you could scale down, you could have a plan to implement more broadly as you go throughout the year, so there's a lot of flexibility.
Because I mean, I think that this is something that would be very beneficial to our community, and I just also think like that in my mind that I try to lead by example, and so I do think that it would be beneficial for us as a board to do some sort of training together like that, and then and since there's some like fluidity of to how that would be applicable, like I do think it could, you know, and maybe it's a somewhat abbreviated training for us, but I just think it would send a good message to our community that we really value this, and we want staff to also go through it, and we think that this is really important if we're sort of taking that initiative first. That was just my thought. So.
Any other thoughts on educating on unlearning racism? Seeing none, do you want to move on to Hubbard Park, Rebecca?
Sure. Well, we've had a canoe and kayak launch that's been identified in 3 planning documents over the last 15 years for Hubbard Park. So we recently constructed the river trail plan and designed a launch, but it was removed from the construction plans due to cost, and having been through a design process of 7 launches and kind of seen some pros and cons, it was, I think, a bit over-designed. So the swale was put in and installed without the launch. So that's one of the things that came up and was actually provided, I think, by 2 trustees through the initiative process. There was also a suggestion for putting a handrail on a stairway. I don't know if anyone saw the picture within the scope of the initiative of the stairway that was installed last year in Hubbard Park. That could use a handrail, and then we're also hoping by fall to have completed a land management plan for the river trail area. And there was another initiative submitted for a recommended annual maintenance plan, or a game plan pretty much, for how the board is gonna respond to maintaining this new area. So that's why I wanted to bring them up all at the same time. You know, typically we do RFPs for a lot of design work, but because we have so much data on this one site, specifically for the canoe and kayak launch, if you did wanna become serious with that, it would be something that, I would strongly encourage you to just work with your engineer on for purposes working through the permitting process. The permitting process is really the largest part of that, and to take the data that we do have from the design plans to develop something that's less maintenance, and just a simpler concept.
How much was it?
Well, I don't know how much the old launch was.
It's a lot, 70 or,
Yeah.
it was a lot, cause it was,
78,000, I think.
yeah, it was a platform, it was
That's too much for
viewing
me.
area. I mean,
So,
Cheryl, none of the river keepers, they put some launches in Deansville and stuff, and there was a pitch, they're just ramps, like down that slope with some,
mhm.
concrete kind of porous things, and a little riffraff at the end, but just a simple walk your canoe kayak down to an area where the bank is stable.
Would we be, making it, so making like a driveway from the circles you would back a boat, like you would be able to back, or are we assuming people would carry it, you know, keep the driveway the same and then carry it off their car and just,
I would
Or an
presume
access.
keeping I would strongly recommend you keep
So
the
we're not-
driveway the same,
we're
and
not
then you have
talking
people
that
take
ramp
off,
going all
right?
the way there, yeah.
The benefit is that you actually have that turnaround right in that area. I mean, that's a dream when you're a kayaker, cause usually you're schlepping your canoe or kayak from a larger distance. But because it's easy to pull your canoe or kayak on the lawn even until you hit like the perforated surface and then get down to the water.
So people who kayak or canoe now, I don't know if there's anyone here who does, is there, do you go to Estabrook to that kind of the northern part, there's a parking lot down by the river, how do you access the river now? So
You can do either one.
Mhm.
Estabrook or
I haven't
River
done it
Park?
here, but I'd welcome an opportunity to do it with you.
That's
I don't
true.
It's there, we've been there, and then we've also, we've taken it with the kids down to Atwater, which was a shot.
To Atwater?
Yes.
I wondered.
Not a good choice.
You mean in the lake?
Yeah, just like to paddle around,
Oh.
but not out. But we've done it into the river at Estabrook.
At Estabrook,
Yes.
River, people do
Yeah.
that.
I put in a covered.
Okay.
Is that where the circle is?
President Rosick?
Did you, is there any other, I just can't remember off the top of my head, is there more park projects? Because if this is, like, I'm very supportive of this. I just wanna make sure I understand. It's hard because we're going from like staff to committees later, I guess, but is there other improvements to parks that this would be competing with, like from the Parks Commission or, I think it's worthwhile and I think we should vote for it. I just wanna know what I'm thinking and saying no to, basically.
I think maybe the triangle part,
Which would be a design
we don't even
We
really
don't
have a
know what it
concept,
is.
yeah.
or.
I mean, I think if we did something, I think if we did something simple, like really simple, but just made it a little easier to access with a boat from there, that would be, you know, like 5,000-10,000, you know, that's what I'm thinking.
Probably some engineering work,
Yeah, it's the grade, it's just figuring out the grade.
yeah.
I'd like to try to put in there
In the
now
permit.
without it there. I don't know if that's even possible, but
So it's just a regular viewer's budget, this was just for anything.
I couldn't hear what you said.
Did you say,
What was
say
that,
it again?
President Rosick?
Oh, for funding, there's no tip, that like tip 3 or 4 doesn't cover it in this area, right?
Well, TIF 3 covers that area, it covered the trail, the match on the grant.
Yeah,
Could be, it was part of the original project, it just is beyond the cost of the grant and the match. And the railing really is just a completion of the initial staircase put in the first project.
I mean, are we gonna have any capital projects proposed for Atwater Park in 20, or are we, like basically with the stairs and everything, we're done with Atwater for the moment?
As staff, I don't foresee any in the immediate future. Now that, you know, a friends group or, you know, parks might have a different approach.
Because parks, for Atwater Parks, put in their proposal, they still wanna consider the layout. And, which, for 20, it would just be putting together like a vision of what it would look like. So there would be no 2020 cost. And then the other thing they're looking at Atwater is still like the potential of vendors and what that would look like. based on the survey results. So, but at this point, they would they would need more time, so no 2020,
Okay.
like, money.
I'm supportive, I think we should use the chip if we go forward with it, because it's still open, we have room, I think. But if we do, I think we're to take the funding.
Rebecca?
And this was one of the reasons why it came onto my radar here is that you're already halfway across the lake. Let's finish it.
Halfway across the river.
Across the river, however you wanna envision it, like, if not, it's left,
It's like we're mixing metaphors. here.
yeah.
Is there any other discussion on Upper Park Canoe Launch?
So your envision, or the vision is that we could do the canoe launch for significantly less money than what was originally
Yeah.
proposed,
Yeah,
and so
a lot
that,
less.
oh, okay. Gotcha.
Yeah.
I think the tip, that if we can take it from the tip, that would be beneficial to me.
Mark was nodding.
He was, he was.
He was.
He was
Well, we-
looking out the window.
You didn't have the benefit of the visual too, but
It's a nod.
Thanks, Mark.
Frank would rather pay off the TIF and be done with it, but
Mhm.
anyway, let's go on.
So, do we wanna move on to bocce ball at River Park?
I wonder whose initiative that was.
Yeah, well, that's just.
I'm supportive, I want the bocce court idea, I do.
Well, it's in the vein of the canoe launch, I mean, it's
Yeah.
giving
No,
people,
it's fine.
recreational
Yeah.
opportunities. The other thing I suggested was if we're gonna do it, let's do two, because that way you could have 4 teams playing at the same time, and, you could organize a tournament, a neat little tournament,
We did a very preliminary layout, and, you could build one court now, without any